is the Dublin Special Master.
Live and direct.
Breakfast with CubCamTV.
Trickstar Radio.
What's happening, people? Welcome back to Breakfast with Kovu here on Trickstar Radio. This is the interview hour. Once again, we are getting into a fantastic conversation with an artist that I have got a lot of time for, someone who I've been following for years and years and years, one of the most innovative, in my honest opinion, producers and musicians working in and around the UK scene. We've got a man like Swindle on the line. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, man. Thank you for those kind words, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, man. Honestly, over the last few years, myself and Duke's Guy, who run the Fresh Fridays playlist, it's been very much a case of whenever we've seen a new Swindle tune dropping, it's one of the first things that goes in. So to actually get you on the show to kind of pick your brains, I suppose, about everything that's going on is so exciting. Obviously, we're in album mode at the moment. I'm imagining things must be very busy at your end right now.
Yeah, they are, and I'm grateful for it. You know, every time I catch myself slouching and feeling tired, I'm like, you know, this is far better than sitting around alone doing nothing like we were a year or so ago. So I'm just extremely grateful, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I mean, something I did want to briefly touch on. Obviously, I don't want to linger too much on pandemic stuff because hopefully we are coming out the other side of it at the moment. But obviously, as a very collaborative worker and someone who clearly likes to get involved with different musicians and things like that, I'm assuming it must have been quite a difficult scenario in regards to making music for yourself.
It was, and that's what led me to this album, actually. You know, it kind of took a global pandemic for this album to happen in a strange way. In the depths of lockdown and everything else that was going on, finding it difficult to create, we kind of decided, like, let's just get away somewhere, have a musical retreat and figure stuff out, reconnect. And this music is what happened that week.
Amazing. So, obviously for yourself, you've been involved in this game for a long period of time. You've been making music in different sorts of eras of the UK sound. You've been working with so many different people. What is the thing that kind of stands out the most to you about this kind of retreat more than anything else in regards to the way you were working?
It's just hyper collaborative, and you know, that's something that I've really been leaning into kind of more so as I progress. This whole journey started with me like making beats on my own in my mum's basement and has turned into this. So, you know, I look back at the great producers of yesteryear. You know, I look at Berry Gordy and Quincy Jones and I understand now that teamwork really does make the dream work. And so all my favorite musics have been made as a kind of joint effort. You know, like it takes a village to raise an album.
That's a good t-shirt. I've got to say, I might get that on a t-shirt at some point. I mean, with this then, obviously, the album is very much on the way. It seems like you've had a very busy press run in the lead up to it. Did you expect kind of this much to be going on around the release?
I didn't think so much about it. And, you know, this album happened to us. I didn't plan for this album. No More Normal took me 3 years, meticulous planning. This album was impromptu. I didn't realize we were making it until it was done. And I'm just trying to contribute it in with the best intention and do right by everyone on the project, really. So it's exciting that everybody's kind of receiving it in the way that they have been so far, yeah.
100%, man. I mean, I'm seeing so much stuff from yourself. I'm seeing so much stuff just in general about the excitement around the album. Is there a kind of moment from the retreat that kind of sticks out to you as a moment you went, okay, we might be onto something here?
So many.
I had a feeling that might be the answer.
Yeah, so many amazing moments. You know, the day that we made Blow Your Trumpet, we also, so Blow Your Trumpet features Nux, Gets, Akala, Koji Radical. And then on that same day, I recorded What More featuring Green Tea Peng. And that day was just electric in the studio. It was just such a moment. Darkest Hour featuring Poppy Judah and Daly was a party. That was our last night in the studio. And that is the soundtrack of our party. We partied whilst making that tune. You know, so many moments. The final song on the album, How I've Been, we recorded in real time. There's 0 edits in that song. It's the only, I'm not sure I've ever done this before. It's just like everyone is in separate booths, musicians in position, and we recorded that from bar 1 right to the end, you know, in one take.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I definitely want to talk very briefly about Blow Your Trumpet, because this is a tune that has been blowing my mind for the last few weeks. Every single time we run it. When you're putting together a project like that with so many influential voices, I feel is a good way of putting it. How does that process kind of work at your end? Are you just kind of the one pulling strings, or are you making the calls? Like, how does that process actually come together?
It's a balance between the two, man. I always want people to do what they feel. So I don't give people words or anything like that. I just kind of produce the right environment for them to be able to give their best. And, you know, when you've got Nux, Gets, Akala, Koji Radical in the same room, I looked around and I was like, nah, I need to lock this door. Like, nobody can leave. This is the moment. And for me, it represents kind of generational greatness. And the decisions I were making in that moment was like, I turned to Nux and I was like, you know, you've got to go first. I want you at the beginning of this track. I need you to open up. You know, these boys are your big brothers, and this is an exchange. You know, this is passing the baton through the generations. They're all the best in their classes.
100%.
That's the kind of the way I looked at it. So Nux opens up, passes it to his big brother, passes it to his big brother Akala. You know, Koji takes that message and carries it through to the next song, which is Darkest Hour. And yeah, it's just a moment, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, the second it landed and we sort of saw it floating around, me and Juki looked at each other and just went, what on earth is going on? Because it's such a unique sounding tune, and that's something you've always carried, I feel, throughout the sort of years. You've always carried a unique kind of I suppose, musical flavour. There's always the jazzy elements. There's always a musicality about what you do. Obviously, within that album, is that something that you feel just happens naturally at this point? Or do you still kind of sit yourself down and kind of go, I want to add more layers, I want to add more elements to it?
It is very natural. The thing I ask myself is like, how can I push this thing forward? Like, that's it. We do try hard to reach like a sonic standard and a musical standard, and constantly educating myself and talking with people that know more than me, you know, about music, to try and pick up some knowledge to be able to execute these ideas like with class. Like, that's important to me. But in terms of like honing the sound and bringing all these genres together, this is just literally me writing music naturally. Like, this is my imagination, if that makes sense. I just lean on all my favorite bits of so many genres that I listen to, that when I make music, it just sounds like that.
Amazing. Honestly, listening through the way you talk about it brings me a lot of excitement, you know, to actually sit down and listen through the full thing, and actually take it in from a kind of perspective. And on a production level, whenever I talk to people about the albums they're working on and the things that are coming out, they always seem to mention like their own Percy on the album that not necessarily everyone else will find as their Percy. Is there a track on there that you feel kind of will stick out to you in that sort of track listing?
It's so hard to pinpoint that, and I think that for me, it's what the songs mean together.
Okay.
That is my favorite, if that makes sense. They're all my favorite individually in different scenario and situation, but what they mean together is my favorite.
That makes sense. No, it does make sense, and I think it's a good thing to have.
It's a snapshot of a time, you know. It's an honest picture of a time. We didn't try that hard. That might sound crazy, but we just did what we felt, and it all happened in a week, and that's it. The picture was taken, and we just present it, just honest. This is what it is.
Fantastic, man. I mean, this is the thing. When we kind of sit back and listen through your previous works, it does tend to have a very solid musical nature, and it always has that sort of collaborative feel going on as well, which again is a solid theme throughout this. A question again from a production angle that I've wanted to ask you for a while is, when was the last time you sat down just to make a piece of music without any vocalists in mind?
Oh, like last week. I do that.
Is that a normal thing?
All the time at home.
Is that just a normal thing?
Yeah, I make beats if I'm at home and I'm, you know, not running around doing interviews and stuff. Like, I make beats every day, like sometimes 6, 7, 8 beats in a day. Just always sketching little ideas. I do that a lot, but you know, I see it kind of almost as practice.
Yeah.
You know, I never want to lose that ability. I want to be able to make a beat in 10 minutes, every 10 minutes for 10 years. Like,
oh, it's amazing. I mean, obviously moving forward then, the album is, it's the big thing on the horizon for you. What's kind of in the pipeline in regards to post-release? Have you got sort of more videos planned? Is there a sort of post-campaign going on?
There's something very special dropping next Tuesday. It's like a secret Easter egg. I can't wait to share it. I can't say too much. It might be the best thing I've ever done. And yeah, we're marking this album with something special that I haven't done before.
Okay,
and it's coming on Tuesday.
Amazing. I mean, obviously looking to the general future and stuff. As you said, you're constantly working on new music and you're working on collaborations. It seems outside of the album at the same time. Like, are there any sort of other link-ups that are kind of bubbling away, or anyone you're kind of keen to put something together with?
There's so many people I'm a fan of that I haven't been able to work with yet because it's just been busy, and obviously the last year has been the last year. I'm loving Emma V at the moment, Sam Henshaw, Ling Hustle. There's lots, Lexa Moore. There's so many stuff, and then also in stuff that we have been doing. Koji Radical has a new album on the way that I've been lucky enough to exec on. Joel Culpepper album we worked on and is out. We're going to be looking at his second one. So yeah, just more of the same. Good people, good music, good energy.
Do you enjoy that exec process to an extent where you can kind of sit back and it's someone else's direction?
A lot. And the more as I mature as a person and as a producer, I'm really starting to see like a great satisfaction in that role. Like I spent so long on my own out as a DJ. I feel like now, like Joel Culpepper going on Jules Holland, that's the new Reload for me. I think. So I really want to get deeper into that and explore that further.
Fantastic, man. I mean, it's so cool to see, and it's so cool, again, obviously as a fan myself, to kind of see that progression and kind of taking it into different directions and obviously being parts of different areas of the industry at this moment in time. Just as a general kind of closer then, what's sort of next for yourself? Like, what do you kind of see yourself working on? I know the album's the centre point now, and that's what everyone wants to kind of find out more about, but I'm always keen to find out the next thing. So what do you think the next sort of direction you're going to take is?
You know me, I'm like just completely devoted to contributing as much as I can musically and with a message. And I've been asking myself the same question. Tomorrow will be the first time in maybe 5 years I'm not working on some kind of album.
Oh, wow.
Which is amazing. It means I can now, connect with new artists that I haven't been able to do. I'd like to help someone build up their career from scratch, like really, really scratch. And I've also had a new idea in the last couple of days that's still forming in my head, which this is how things usually start. that will take me down like quite a drastically different route, but just kind of got to see how it plays out, really.
100%, man, 100%. I'm assuming the room you're currently sat in, obviously this is going out on the airwaves, but we are going to have the video up as well on CubCamTV. I'm assuming the room you're currently sat in is the sort of magic room where things start to come together. Yeah,
this is my studio. Yeah, this is where I spend most of my time at home. Yeah. Is
there a gadget in there that you always have to have active?
Cool. Well, I mean, it's got to be the keyboard, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, for those listening in, there is literally one of the biggest keyboards I've ever seen sat in front of Swindle right now. But I've got to say, dude, it's been absolutely amazing having you on the show. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. It's a massive pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure's mine, man. Thank you.
Each and every time. Just so people can follow you if they aren't already, because I always find myself doing this these days. I think I'm following people and I'm not, and then suddenly I see the little follow notification come up. What's the Insta handle and what's the Twitter handle as well for yourself?
So my Insta handle, as I pull out my phone, is Swindle UK.
Cool.
My Twitter handle is just Swindle.
Fantastic stuff.
I'm pretty easy to find most places if you search Swindle. Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure and we will chat soon, okay?
Brilliant. Nice one, man.
Keep it locked, people. We're live on the Big Bad Trickstar Radio. This is Breakfast with Kovu. A massive shouts out to Swindle. Coming up next, we're going to be getting into the Dub Shack Spotlight. So keep it locked and don't go anywhere.
This is Breakfast with Kovu, bringing you their morning flavours on Trickstar Radio.
Trickstar Radio.